Hello and welcome to the Ninqueso Exploring Japan channel, where I am on a journey to find out everything I can about Japan, the people, the culture, and today about the rise, fall and rebirth of pro wrestling Noah. Now, if you are new to my channel, you might not be aware that once upon a time I used to be a pro wrestler. I did. Now, I never actually wrestled in Japan, opportunity never arose, or I just was never that good. But either way, I am still fascinated by how pro wrestling got established in Japan. I have done a video on that one already. I will leave a link, if I remember, floating around up there somewhere where you can go check that one out. But today we're going to take a look at Pro Wrestling Noah. I don't really know too much about it. So yeah, that is why I'm here, to find out. So let us begin our education on Pro Wrestling Noah.
The story of Noah actually begins in late 80s, early 1990s All Japan Pro Wrestling. It was a place where some of the hardest hitting heavyweight matches ever took place.
Nice.
When Eddie Kingston sings the praises of All Japan on Dynamite,
that boot is right in the face. It's like, I broke my nose like that. Someone just slipped and doing a kick and he just caught me across the bridge of my nose. I'm looking at you, Mr. Donnelly. Yes, I am.
This is the time frame he's talking about. All Japan had some of the best heavyweights in the world step into their ring. Kenta Kobashi, Bruiser Brody, Jun Akiyama, Tenryu, Dr. Death Steve Williams, Stan Hansen,
I don't really know these
Mitsuharu
people.
Misawa, and of course its founder, Giant Baba. In January of 1999, Giant Baba passed away, leaving his wife Motoko as owner and their top star Misawa as president. After just over a year, Misawa and others grew increasingly frustrated with the direction of the company.
Oh dear.
And in May of 2000, Misawa announced he was leaving All Japan. In fact, 24
Is that when he went off and set up Pro Wrestling Noah, I guess?
of their 26 home talents left alongside him, showing their loyalty to the ace and his vision. In June of 2000, Pro Wrestling Noah was born. A perfectly fitting name taken from the biblical story of Noah and his ark, it was the perfect metaphor, highlighting the circumstances that led to the company's founding. A man rescuing everything needed to repopulate the world after a great disaster. In this case, it was
extreme.
to repopulate the Japanese wrestling world. You see, the Japanese pro wrestling scene in 2000 was at its lowest point maybe ever. Gone were the heights of New Japan and the...
A lot. It seemed to be like in the UK, the heights were in like the early 80s, and then in the 80s, 90s, it just went blum, and then it started to build up again in like the early 2000s, from what I can sort of establish. I didn't get into wrestling until I was like quite old. Probably about 12 years ago now I got into actually being part of British wrestling.
70s and early 80s, and All Japan's peak of the late 80s and early 90s died with Baba. The Japanese scene needed something fresh. Pro Wrestling Noah took its roster of living legends and underused talents and continued the legacy of 90s All Japan, but with some much needed tweaks. Noah stacked their roster with talent that could provide absolute classic heavyweight bouts, with Kenta Kobashi and Misawa delivering some of the best matches of the decade. But they also presented some of the best young junior heavyweights, something New Japan had found success with in featuring innovators like Tiger Mask and Dynamite Kid. All Japan, however, was never able to embrace the smaller, faster workers.
Was that before? Was that after he left WWE? We went over to that. I guess it would have been with the time frame.
Noah brought talents like Marufuji, Taiji Ishimori, and Kenta to the forefront. Noah had now established itself with
Is that Tajiri?
perfectly balanced roster, and also included foreign talent like Vader, Juventud Guerrera, and Too Cold Scorpio.
I do know two of those.
Pro Wrestling Noah was ready to take the fight to the established Big Two of Japan, and fight they did. And by the mid-2000s, Noah was considered by many to be the best promotion.
It's like, could you just stop doing that, please? that would be starting to sting a little bit. It's like, I've not been chopped in ages.
In the country. New Japan was faltering due to Inoki's insistence on filling his roster with shoot fighters to both gain ground on MMA's boom in the country and to prove that pro wrestling was the top form of combat. And All Japan had yet to find its footing post-Exodus. This time also saw the rise of several stars. Aside from immediate breakout stars Kenta Marufuji, there was Go Shiozaki, Nakajima, and of course, Takeshi Morishima. Morishima had left All Japan as a young lion, and he slowly built his reputation as the heir apparent to Kobashi and Misawa in the heavyweight division. He was 300 pounds, he hit hard, and he carried an unreal amount of force in his moves. He was a monster.
Lovely. That was a beautiful suplex.
Was working, as it would be named Promotion of the Year by Wrestling Observer in 2004 and 2005. Around this time, Noah would enter into a working agreement with Ring of Honor in the US. The partnership was beneficial to both parties. ROH got extended tours from stars like Kenta and Marufuji, and rare US appearances from Kobashi and Misawa. ROH even gave a dominant world title reign to Morishima in 2007. And Noah, in return, got exposure in the US, as well as talents like Chris Hero, the Briscoes, Bryan Danielson, and many more. They even
can't say I've really sort of watched much Ring of Honor.
Helped put the incredible Kota Ibushi on the map. Noah was riding high, but soon tragedy would befall the promotion. On June 13, 2009, during a tag team match in Hiroshima, Misawa would take a belly-to-back suplex 10 minutes into the match.
I can tell that's not coming down very nicely, is it? That's landing very, very bad.
A move he had taken hundreds of times before. This time, however, he did not get up. He laid motionless. The match was stopped as medical personnel attempted to revive him.
Dear.
They were unsuccessful and sent him to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. Misawa's family invoked a Japanese law that kept the cause of death from being released publicly. However, it's been speculated and reported to have been due to a separation of the first and second cervical vertebrae.
I mean, that photo where he's coming down, it doesn't look like he's got a lot more room to rotate, to get out of, like, coming down on his neck.
Mitsuharu Misawa was just 46 years old. Noah's management informed the roster of his death later that night, while also informing them that they could not afford to cancel the remaining dates on the tour. Due to their wrestling obligations, many Noah talents missed Misawa's funeral on June 18th. Misawa's death, while largely ignored by the mainstream Japanese press, was covered heavily by the Japanese sports media. And of course, condolences poured in throughout the wrestling world. CM Punk even wrote Misawa on his wrist tape for Raw 2 nights later. And what followed the death of the founder almost led to the death of his promotion as well. On July 4th, Noah held a memorial service for Misawa. They had expected 5,000 to attend. Instead, the crowd ballooned to over 26,000. The day following the service, Akira Tao was officially named President of Pro Wrestling Noah, with Kenta Kobashi and Naomichi Marufuji being named Vice Presidents. The elevations of Kobashi and Marufuji caused Noah and All Japan co-founder Mitsu Momota to be demoted from VP to advisor, and eventually to quit entirely. It was actually Momota who had suggested Kobashi be given the position of VP, not intending himself to be replaced.
Dear.
This, along with other disputes during the change, led him to quit. And other management changes to follow would prove costly to the promotion. After the departure of Momota, wrestler Haruka Aigen was named advisor.
I don't really know any of these wrestlers.
As well as announcer Ryu Nakata being
so I'm guessing like
manager.
big change happened.
Later in
basically.
2009, Noah would lose their weekly Sunday night time slot on Nippon TV, sending the company into even more dire straits financially. In 2011, rumors and a story of potential ties to the Yakuza started to circulate in Japanese wrestling circles, but nothing fully confirmed. By 2012, the promotion was still just treading water, existing but seemingly only hanging on week to week. Management butted heads over how to best move forward, splitting into two camps. VP Kobashi pushing that the promotion remain loyal to talent and not make cuts to the roster, with GM Nakata pushing for cuts. And Tao sided with Nakata. All of this would come to a head in March of 2012 when released wrestler Yun Izumida took part.
So I'm going to guess they had kind of like did some cuts and other people kind of followed.
In an expose book and confirmed not only the Yakuza involvement with Noah, but that Nakata and Aigen were directly involved. The Black Money scandal, as it would become known, was as simple as it was complicated. A Yakuza-tied couple had become lead sponsors for several Noah wrestlers. Sponsorship is a long-held tradition in Japanese wrestling and MMA. You pretty much pay for wrestlers you like, either their travel, lodging, or their fee for a match. I've seen it described as a Yakuza money mark.
No one ever did that for me.
And how did this
like I said, I wasn't that good.
couple obtain all of this money to sponsor these talents? Well, they scammed folks, of course, mostly the elderly.
Oh dear.
They even conned the widow of Misawa. It was a Ponzi scheme, or like Max Bialystock in The Producers. While Yakuza involvement in Japanese combat sports is incredibly common, it's also a taboo to have Yakuza connections for obvious reasons. This was a major black eye to the promotion. They were already off television, but now a return seems slim to none. Tao took immediate but half-assed action. Nakata and Eigen were removed from management positions, but stayed employed.
Whatever.
The company also implemented new anti-Yakuza protocols and made all employees undergo training about how to avoid Yakuza connections. At the end,
I want to know what those training were. Like how to avoid Yakuza connections. Just imagine a little video playing.
End of the year, Kobashi, a foundational talent for the promotion, departed Noah. He would retire from in-ring action in January of 2013. The next couple of years would see even more departures and management shakeups, including homegrown stars Kenta and Morishima leaving the company. Kenta to join WWE, and Morishima being forced to retire due to a blood disease.
I still don't recognize
His story would only become sadder over time.
Oh dear.
In 2015, Noah entered into a partnership with New Japan that saw Jado take over booking duties. It didn't improve their fortunes much, and the partnership crumbled only a year later. Also in 2016, Noah would be purchased by Japanese IT company Estby. Again, the next few years would bring more of the same. Dwindling houses, constant roster changes, and no clear direction to improve.
That's not
2019 would bring the most changes to Noah yet.
And that was the hardest thing with I found when I was running a small independent wrestling, because obviously you can't give contracts to people or anything like that, and you're trying to book people just for your shows. It makes it so hard when they either cancel on you or they're not available, and you just got to try and make storylines work. Because even if you book people way in advance, it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be there for the show. It's very difficult unless you got in my brain I had these clear storylines that I wanted to do. Didn't always work out.
Bought out again, this time by Ledette Entertainment, who purchased a 75% stake in the promotion. Ledette would also rebrand the company by changing its logo to a more generic look with a plain font and red and black color scheme.
Yeah.
This change also removed the iconic green canvas.
Oh no.
In January 2021, Noah was purchased a final time as of this video by CyberAgent, the parent company of DDT Pro. This merged the two companies into CyberFight, with Noah and DDT acting as separate brands. The new ownership has brought a renewed attention to Noah, their events being heavily pushed on Fight TV and CyberFight's own DDT Wrestle Universe streaming service. They also brought back green into the logo.
That's good.
They've rebuilt with established Golden Age stars like Go Shiozaki, Nakajima, and Marufuji.
Are they still just kind of using their own sort of people? They're not bringing in imports or anything? Because I like that.
While building new stars like Hayata, Kano, and Kato Kiyomiya.
Noah has also brought in some of the best foreign talent again, like Timothy Thatcher and Ninja Mac.
I've heard of Timothy Thatcher.
In 2023, they've come so far from the brink that they were able to get WWE's help in putting together one of the final matches for the legendary Great Muta.
What else lies ahead for Noah is unknown, but their future is certainly brighter than it's been in almost a decade, and I'm pretty happy to see them back on the upswing. If you've never checked out Noah before, I hope you'll give them a chance after this video. They're putting out some great wrestling. And if you like this brief look back at Noah's history and want more, I suggest checking out Puro Power's 4-part in-depth.
Is that it? I think that is it on the rise and fall and rebirth of pro wrestling Noah. That was quite interesting. So I didn't really know much about Noah. Let's leave it on that shot of a nice big arena. I never ran anything like that. Tiny little community halls and a school hall, which was way too big. Way too big. But yes, anyway, if you did like that video, that was a video by Wrestling Perspective. If you did like it, I will leave a link down in the description. You can head over there and give their video a like. But if you did like my video, then please go down and hit that like button. And while you're there, leave a comment just so that I know you've made it through to the end. And also, if you've got any other suggestions on videos about Japanese wrestling or anything Japanese really, please let me know down in the comments what they are, and I will probably check them out. And if you want to see more of my journey to discover everything I can about Japan, make sure you go down and hit that subscribe button. But until next time, just be nice to people. Bye.